Now, with another video today, I'll be talking about how to improve your Google Ads performance. And this video was inspired by the countless AdWords accounts or Google Ads accounts that I audit on a daily basis. And there's a common theme between all of them. And a lot of times it's a do-it-yourselfer who, sets up the campaign and really doesn't understand how Google works or how to get the most out of their account. So I wanted to put this together. Hopefully it won't take up too much time, but I think you'll find the information in this video pretty valuable. Now, if this is the first time you've been to one of my videos, my expertise is SEO and Google Ads. I've been in marketing since 2004. My first agency, I started in 2004 and sold in 2008. I've worked for agencies such as Yodel, which is now web.com. I've worked for in-house companies as their Google Ads and slash SEO expert. I've trained marketing teams on how to run Google Ads. I currently offer a coaching on Google Ads on my website for those agencies or more advanced people who use Google Ads and want to get more out of what they're currently doing. And I've been cited in the news as an SEO expert and Google Ads expert. And in 2021, I was interviewed by CNBC to talk about actually how Google Ads works. So you're getting information from someone who does this on a daily basis. Now, this video applies to you if you noticed in your Google Ads account that your click-through rate is really low, meaning you have lots of impressions and your click-through rate is very low, 1%, less than 1%. Your conversion rate is low, so you're getting a lot of clicks but not a lot of impressions. The leads that you are getting are not consistent, and your performance is getting worse over time. So the cost is constantly increasing and the number of conversions are declining. Those kind of things lead to problems that we'll address in this video. And then your cost is high and is increasing over time, or your click-through rate is decreasing over time. Any combination of those, this video is for you. The first thing that I see that a lot of people make as far as mistakes when it comes to their campaigns are they focus on the wrong metrics. So if you're currently focusing on how many impressions you're getting or what your click-through rate is, what your cost per click is, like you're trying to get the lowest cost per click, or you're running shopping and you're focusing on how much you're paying per sale when you should be really focusing on metrics such as CPA. How much are you paying per acquisition? How many leads are you getting? And what's your return on advertising spend? The difference between the two is a click-through rate and impression metrics things you should look at? Absolutely. But if you're driving success of your account based on these metrics, these are the wrong metrics to focus on. Because we don't really care at the end of the day what the click-through rate is, because if the click-through rate is great and you're not converting, then a high click-through rate doesn't mean anything. The second most common thing I see is too many broad keywords. And so here's an account that I recently audited, and I thought it was a perfect example. So this is typically what I see when I look at an account. All broad match. And the downside with the broad match is you really you cast a wide net on the search terms that you can show up for. Because when you say broad, you give Google the flexibility to decide what it thinks those keywords apply to. And it could be a combination of those things. It could be the word pain doctor on broad match could generate, how do I become a pain doctor? How much do pain doctors make a year? I have pain, should I call a doctor? Those kind of keywords. So, and those keywords themselves, since they're broad, the cost per click is cheaper. Again, going back to focusing on too much on what the cost per click is. Because the broader the term, the cheaper the cost. But the broader the term, the more clicks you need in order to get a conversion in hopes of hitting the right audience. When you go more specifically and you target those keywords that you know you're a pain doctor or you run a pain management clinic, then you would have an ad group that says pain management clinic, and that would be exact or phrase match. And so now you're going to pay more because now you're being very specific and there's more competition. And so you can see on the right column where the red arrows are that the keywords on the left generated the keywords on the right. And you can see that while some of these may be, applicable, uh, you could say, somebody looking for intense neck and shoulder pain is looking for a pain doctor. But if I'm spending money for a client and they're a pain doctor and they want patients, I'm going to start out focusing specifically on what it is they do, because someone searching uh, pain doctor near me or pain management services near me is going to be way more relevant and more likely to convert than someone looking for symptoms of a rotary cuff tear. So when you build your keywords, understand that broad means wide reach and phrase and exact is more of a narrow reach, and so you're going to pay more per click. And that's okay, because we want to hit the right audience. If you focus too much on how much you're paying per click, you can be paying 20 cents per click, but you would need 500 clicks to convert, where if you pay $2 for a click and you converted at half the amount or a quarter of the amount, you're hitting the right target, but you're also converting sooner. Another thing I see is not enough ad groups. Similar to the slide I showed previously, a lot of times clients will take all the keywords they can think of and they just dump it into one ad group and then create a generic ad and then just show the ad, based on all those keywords. But if you do that, it's harder for you to tailor your ads to the search term. So pain management services and pain doctor would be two different ad groups, because somebody Googling pain doctor, you would want your ad to say, need a pain doctor? Are you in pain? See a doctor. And where pain management services, the ad there is going to be different. The title is going to be different. The description might be different. And so how Google determines what you should pay per keyword is based on how your keywords are grouped. So Google looks at the keywords in the ad versus the keywords in the ad group versus the keywords to the landing page. And so the more specific your ad groups are, the better the quality score. And as you can see here on the graph, the little smiley faces, is 5 is the midpoint. You're not really paying any more, you're not paying any less. You're kind of in the middle. But as your quality score improves, you get more of a discount on your cost per click, because your score is higher, meaning it's more relevant. So the more specific you can get with the keywords, the more specific you can get to the ads, and hopefully you can have more specific keywords on landing pages, or as many landing pages as you need, because they don't necessarily need to be visible to people who navigate the site. These can just be specific landing pages for PPC, so that you can have a page specifically talking about pain doctor or pain management services that might be a little bit more specific if you need to. So, and if your quality score is poor because you have too many keywords in there and that dilutes the quality score, what happens is you then have to pay more to get your keywords to show, because it's less relevant. And so Google is going to make you pay more to get in front of that same audience. And if your quality score is too low, then Google can decide that it's too low and it's not even worth them showing your keywords for the ad for these keywords, because the relevancy is not there. Then people would stop using the search engine. And so it's important to Google and to the users of Google that when they type in keywords, that they are able to see services and businesses that are relevant to the search that they just performed. Landing pages are something that I look at that I can't believe that other agencies or freelancers don't check landing pages. Landing pages are really important, because when you send someone to a landing page, you want them to do something outside of it impacting the quality score of the campaign. your landing page needs to give the user enough information to decide to take the next step. So if you're selling a service, what is it that your typical customer ask you, if you were to tell someone on an elevator or in the street and say, this is what I do for a living, what are the common questions they would ask? If you're a home improvement service company, most people ask, are you bonded and insured? Do you have before and after photos? What kind of reviews do you have? Do you guarantee your work? Those kind of things need to be on the landing page, because if you provide people with enough information, then they're more likely to reach out to you to get a bid or a quote or request more information if they feel that most basic questions are answered. But if you're very vague and you don't include enough information, then people are more likely to think you're sketchy, or you're not really an expert at what you do, and they'll tend to leave. So doing things like testimonials help. Social proof, meaning if you work with specific companies, so if people know and recognize the companies that you've worked with and they trust those companies, that trust kind of passes on to you, and that helps increase conversions. Testimonials from other people help. If you've won awards, all of that adds to your credibility, and that increases your chances of people to, increases people interacting and reaching out. And avoid sending users to the homepage when possible, especially if you're, a home improvement company and you do kitchen remodeling and bathroom remodeling. Don't set up an ad group for kitchen remodeling and then dump them on the homepage of your website. You want to send them to that particular section because they're going to want to see before and after photos and testimonials from people based on that service. Where if you just dump them on the page and it's a generalized page, now the user is either forced to navigate through your website or hit the back button. And what do you think they're going to do? What's easier for them? It's easier for them to hit the back button and click the next ad. So make it easier, and that's also, again, going to impact your quality score, because if you're sending people to a page about bathroom renovations and you have a page about bathroom renovations, that's a hell of a lot more relevant than sending them to the homepage. This one is a biggie. If your budget is low, you're going to run into so many problems. You can't test, quote unquote, test a Google Ads campaign with $10 a day or $20 a day. It's just not possible. It's if your average CPC is $3 and you spend $10 a day and you have 100 keywords or 20 keywords, the problem is your budget is so close to what your daily spend is that Google will either decide to not run your ads at all because it's going to say, well, your cost per click is too close to your daily budget and we could easily go over that. Or if your ads are able to show, when you have too many keywords, what happens is two keywords will get a click one day, the next day two more clicks, and your ads may start running at 9 a.m. and then you're done by 12. And so now you're missing the rest of the day. Or Google may try to stretch out the budget and show your ads once or twice in the morning, a few times in the afternoon, one or two times in the evening. And now you're missing all the potential clicks that you could be getting. And stretching that budget across all of those keywords takes longer time to collect information that's needed in order to decide which keywords work or don't work. So when it comes to something like that, you either have to hold on to your money and save it so you have enough to at least spend Monday through Friday during business hours if you have a service-based business. And this will allow you to at least funnel the money into certain keywords that if you're a bathroom renovator, let's say, you can do bathroom renovation experts or bathroom renovation company or bathroom renovation contractors and focus on 2-3 keywords and funnel your budget there. Or you can get more, like I said earlier, get more dollars together and then do it that way. But if your budget is limited, you're going to be limited to how many times your keywords will show up. So And this is one of the biggest reasons why this fails for so many people, because they say Google Ads doesn't work. I spent $25 a day or $300 a month, but they don't realize that you have to have money, and it takes money to find what keywords convert. And you also have to keep in mind how much you stand to make from a client. So let's say your a bathroom renovation costs average $10,000, and out of that $10,000 you stand to make $3,000. Well, take $3,000 and make that your monthly budget, and then this way, if you target the right keywords and you only get one sale, you've broken even. And if you gotten two good leads, then you've doubled your money. But you can't say my product, I stand to make $3,000, but I only want to spend $300 a day. It's going to be really hard to get Google Ads to perform based on that small spend. The this other too many calls to action. This goes to landing pages, and I see this all the time. You send people to a landing page, and they're hit with a pop up to sign up to subscribe, or they're hit with follow us on social media, or call us, or fill out this form, or go to the footer and sign up for our monthly newsletter, or get alerts. And there's too many calls to action, and so users then either take the wrong call to action, right? If you're spending dollars to send someone to a landing page, you don't want to pay for them to go check out your Facebook page and maybe possibly like the page and then leave, versus having them come there and fill out the form for a quote. So that's more important. So you want to make sure that the most important action is the most prominent, and then you have a couple of options. You can have other calls to action on the page lower below the fold that you track, that have less value, so that we can tell Google which conversions to focus on, which conversions have more weight. Or after the user takes the main action, such as requesting a quote, then you can redirect them to a thank you page after they complete the form that then has other calls to action. Follow us on social media, check out our blog, subscribe to our newsletter. Then that's when you can then present them with other calls to action, because they've taken the main one first. So don't confuse users, because like I said, they either take the wrong action or they don't take any action at all. Bidding too low, if your budget is low, or you're trying to be cheap and you're doing broad match and you're paying 35 cents and you want to only bid 25 cents, you're just going to decrease your visibility. And if your visibility is too low, then what's going to happen is you're not going to show up, or you'll show up on page 2 or 3. And usually if you're getting clicks that far back, it's not anybody who's really interested in the services, because more than likely they would have found it on page 1. So increase your CPC if you're not getting enough impressions. Otherwise, decreasing your budget. You only typically do that if you know you're showing up in the one spot and you want to decrease how much you're paying per lead, and you don't want to exclude that keyword or pause that keyword. You can decrease how much you pay per click in order to decrease the positioning, but you don't want to decrease it so much that you're all the way on page 2. Choosing the wrong bidder strategy happens all the time. People right out of the gate will go right to maximize conversions, but Google needs data in order to do maximize conversions. So if you start with that, you may notice that there's no performance. And one of the reasons may be, outside of budget, is that you're choosing the wrong bid strategy, because you're choosing a strategy that requires data to have already been collected in order to then make those automated decisions. So making sure that you have the right bid strategy is very important. Also, choosing an unrealistic CPA. Like, if you know your product's expensive and you're probably going to convert at a high cost, again, like with the bathroom remodeling, maybe let's just say, like, a good cost per conversion might be $150, right? You'd be willing to spend $150 to get 3,000, to make $3,000 in profit. But saying you want to spend $10 is unrealistic, and therefore you won't get any performance out of the campaign, because maybe your cost per click is $10. And so trying to come up with a CPA that low is just really unrealistic. Poorly written ads is I found a good example here. So this was an audit I had done a while back, and the ads were really bad because the structure was okay. Like bedbugs had its own ad group, which was great. Only bedbug keywords were in the ad group, which is great. The issue was that the ads were just blah. It just kept repeating, bedbug treatment, effective bedbug treatments, professional bedbug treatment, but that's just bland. Like somebody's just gonna glance over that. And in the sea of ads, you want to do something that makes you stand out. Well, like what is important to somebody who has bed bugs? Well, they want to know that it's going to get taken care of right away, that the work is guaranteed. They won't have to worry about it anymore. You tell them about your expertise, you're highly rated, highly recommended, 5-star reviewed. Whatever the user or your clientele is going to want to know to click that ad, you want in the ad. And then obviously you also want those same metrics to be on the landing page, like the reviews and that you guarantee your work and you're open 24/7, those things. And so the example on the bottom here is bedbug exterminator. Schedule a service call today. Eliminate bedbugs once and for all. Call the pest control experts. There's a call to action there as well. A lot of times ads don't have calls to action. You want somebody to do something. You're telling them, I understand you have this problem. We're experts at taking care of this problem. Give us a call. A lot of times ads are just not creative, and you have to put something behind that to stand out, especially if you want to get that click in that business. And last but not least, probably one of the most important is tracking. So many times people don't track all their metrics. They track the wrong metrics. They track page views. They track Google Map interactions. They track um, things that don't really make sense when it comes to what a conversion really is. Or you have multiple conversions, like a phone call and a form fill. And if you have those two and you're only tracking one, then what happens is if 50% of people call and the other 50% fill out the form, and you're not recording those with something like CallRail or PhoneWagon, whatever the other third-party services are, I use CallRail. You when you use something like CallRail, it records the keyword and then brings the keyword back into Google so that you know exactly what keyword triggered the call. And now you know which keywords are producing phone calls, which keywords are producing form fills, because if you're only tracking form fills, if you find that a keyword is overspending, say your target CPA $75 and you spend $200 on a keyword, you're going to say, okay, I need to pause this because it's not producing. That could make the phone stop ringing, but you don't really know that. Client will say, or you might say, the phone stopped ringing. What do we do to make the phone stop ringing? You're not going to know, because when you look in the ads account, you're only going to see conversions related to form fills. And then you're either going to turn everything back on in attempts to get the phone to ring again, but then you're still wasting money on keywords that should be paused, that aren't producing phone calls, but you don't know that because you're not tracking them. And so when you track all the metrics, if you see this graph down here at the bottom, this client, when I took them over, this particular client was tracking everything: phone calls, form conversions. So it was really easy for me to go in, and over time you can see that the conversions slowly increased over time, while the cost per conversion started to decrease over time. And I didn't diminish the quality of the leads. The leads were still pretty good. It's just that over time, I started to be able to increase the amount of conversions and lower the cost, because I was able to see all these metrics. So then I can make advanced bid adjustments around, uh, location and demographics. Like all that data is available to Google, and you can make some really finite changes, but you can only do that if you're tracking every metric. I can see, top 10% of males convert the most at the cheapest, where the lower 40% of people in income convert at the highest cost. So I can exclude them. But I can't do anything like that if I'm not tracking all conversions, because it might, have an adverse effect in the account, and then we're scrambling to figure out why the campaign's declining because we're trying to make changes on data that we don't really have. But if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you have anything that you want me to cover, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and I'll put together another video. Thanks.